I moved to Atlanta because I was super broken and in denial about a lot of things that were going on in my life. I moved to Atlanta because I felt like if I moved, I didn't have to deal with the things I was dealing with back home, but which was a complete lie because I feel like they magnified themselves when I got to Atlanta. And we're back with another episode of Elevating with Kay. And it was asked of me to record how I got to Georgia. How did I get to Atlanta? Why did I come to Atlanta? And I did a series on this before, but I never really in depth explained on like what motivated me to come. So I'm gonna tell you guys, and then I hope this episode helps you if you're feeling stuck and you want to make a change or you're trying to move, and what it felt like, the trials and tribulations as I learned the last 3.5, almost 4 years that I've been here, and what would I have done differently. So it's your girl K650. It's your girl K650 Credit. Let's get into the video. All right, y'all. So as you guys know, I moved to Atlanta, or if you don't know, right? I moved to Atlanta from Connecticut about 3.5 years ago. Now, here's the truth. And I think when I first recorded this episode, when I first started, and I talked about how I got to Atlanta, I was scared to tell you guys the truth on what was the motivating factor for me to get to Atlanta. So I think now I'm ready. I think I'm in a different season of my life. I think I'm feeling a little better. I think that the situation is no longer something that bothers me. So I'm willing to go into a little bit more depth about what happened and what caused me to come here. Outside of the surface cliche things that people talk about, because that was me. But let's just be real. This Elevating with Kay, so we're going to talk about all the things that got me to where I am now. And one is the move and what motivated the move. So to be completely transparent, I was in a relationship that was going south for a long time. And when I knew that I needed to get out of the relationship, I started planning, so to say, my escape, right? The problem at hand is, when I don't think anybody talks about this, is that when you're in a relationship for a substantial amount of time, you basically like almost are married, right? We owned a house together, we had credit cards together, we shared bank accounts together, we lived together. This was supposed to be my husband. But the problem was that when it was time to break up, I didn't know how to break up because there were so many things involved in the breakup. So I stayed. And it wasn't until the last situation that happened where I was like, all right, I can't do this anymore. And that's when I decided that I needed a change, but I didn't know it was Atlanta, Georgia at the time. I quit my job in February, and in March I decided to go to a conference. And on my way back home from the conference, I was on the plane and I called my really good friend and I said, I'm gonna move to Atlanta. And she goes, all right. And then I called her back, like right after I hung the phone, right before takeoff, and I said, I'm not gonna do it. I can't leave him. Another moment of me being scared to leave a situation that was no longer serving me because of all the things that was tied into it. And the first lesson in this story I want to tell you guys is, if God calls you to move, you need to move. It doesn't matter the stuff that's involved, right? Or you can't not do something because you don't know how it's going to happen. And that was what it was for me. I was so hyped to go, and then I quickly reverted back because I was like, oh no, I can't leave him, and we like this and that and all these excuses. And my friend, she gave me that like, so you're not gonna leave because of him? And I was so ashamed to say, like, so I'm not gonna go and do something I want to do because of a man, right? But she stopped me out of it, and I went home and I told my mom, I said, listen, I'm moving to Atlanta in 30 days. And I went and told him, I said, I'm moving to Atlanta in 30 days, and there's nothing anyone is going to say to make me not go. And everybody took me for a joke, right? And I knew that at the time, and I'm not even going to cap about this, I wasn't spiritually in line with God. I wasn't anything. But now that I've, started my journey with God again, I realized that at that moment, God said one thing to me. He said, come. And there was like a voice inside of my head at the time. And like I said, I didn't recognize God's voice at the time because I just wasn't tapped in. So I didn't equate the two. But there was something calling me to Georgia. Like something was like, you need to go and you need to go now. Like if you don't go now, and people always ask me, how did you do it so expeditiously? Like why did you do it so fast? And I always tell them is because there was something inside of me that says if you don't go in 30 days, like it was like a clear sign, you need to leave in the next 30 days because if you don't, you're not going to go. So I was like, I'm going to leave and I'm leaving in 30 days. And I was so adamant about it. So that was like May 1st. I decided I was moving to Atlanta and I decided I was going in 30 days. And that's exactly what I did. I was running from my relationship. I was running from the feeling like I was in a box, feeling like I had no way out unless I moved. And that's the truth. Yes, it had a lot to do with environment, wanting to build a business and mentorship and all that. But the main reason was I was trying to get out of a relationship, and the only way that I could see fit and the only way God gave me direction is he said, you need to put some distance and you need to go to a place that's not only going to elevate you, it's going to change your life and you're never going to look back at that again. So when I got to Atlanta after the 30 days, packed my stuff and left, the first 6 months was so freaking hard. Like it was so hard. I was sad. I was going through all types of battles within myself. I didn't know, like, did I make the right decision? Did I hear God correctly? Like, I just was a mess. And I was like, maybe I should go back home. Like, what did I do? I only had $5,000 to my name. I had a business that I, started, and I just had hope. I just had faith and I had hope. And I showed up to every meetup there was, everything, because I needed friends. I needed a community. I needed to be a part of something. And after the 6 months, I was like, all right, I'm still here. We all right. We're moving. And I stayed. So the crazy thing is, even though I was running from a relationship, I still stayed in the relationship. I still tried to make it work, even though I was here. And the messed up part is God never told me to come with stuff. He said, go by yourself. And I didn't listen to that part. So I believe the first 6 months was so hard because I still wasn't aligned in what was the purpose of me being here. So when I got rid of the relationship and I no longer was in it, then I started to see what was really meant for me to be here, what God essentially was telling me why I was here. And that was to transform me, to make me better. But I thought making me better meant money, right? So the most humbling thing happened because I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna be better because my bank account about to be lit. I'm about to do this. I'm about to do that. And I never thought that being better meant from working from the inside out. I thought that being better meant that my bank account was gonna be better. But God had something different for me because what a humbling experience it was. The first business I started here, I failed at it. I lost $10,000. I shared that on my YouTube as well. If you guys go watch how I lost $10,000 in Airbnb. That was my first attempt on trying to become better, right? I failed. And boy, I'm like, all right. So I moved down here. I do what you want me to do. And then I fail at the first thing. From the outside, it looks like I got it all together, right? Like she moved to Atlanta. No, your girl was stressed. Like it was so many things that were going on. So I failed at the business. I no longer was in a relationship. I lived in a state. I have no family. I have some friends, but it was hard. Like the first year being here was hard. But when I started to realize that money wasn't going to make me happy, money wasn't going to make this transition no better, money wasn't going to change anything about the circumstance I was in. And my aunt told me when I first moved here, she said, Raquel, everywhere you go, you're going to show up. So if you keep thinking by moving and doing this and doing that, your life is going to be any different, you need to realize that every time you go somewhere new, you are always there. And when she said that to me, it changed the whole entire trajectory of how I was about to live my life in Atlanta. Because I was here, I wasn't going anywhere, and if I was going to be any different, I had to not equate my growth to money. I needed to literally figure out how I can fix me from the inside out. And that was the turning point for my journey in Atlanta. And I talked to you guys about how I found God, how I went to therapy. All of those things were contributing factors of the disaster of me moving here. I was in denial that I was broken. The relationship didn't break me. I was broken. My circumstance didn't break me. It was me. And I was in denial that I needed work. And I believe that the move to Atlanta wasn't about me becoming a better business owner. It was about me becoming a better person. And in the process of being a better person, I was then going to become better in business. And I was then going to attract the people that I needed to attract. I was going to be surrounded by the people I was going to need to be surrounded by. I was going to have the mentorship that I needed. But it required me to show up better in a different version of myself. And I share with you guys all the time that in order to get to the next level in life, you have to become something different. And I truly believe that. Because the girl that showed up in Atlanta in 2021 is not the woman that lives in Atlanta in 2025. Because what happened was I was no longer in denial that I was the problem and I needed to fix me. I can't blame nobody else because there's nobody here with me. It is literally me here. Like, it's only me. So when the problem started to arise and I had nobody to blame, you got to look at yourself in the mirror, right? So people talk about moving and how it's so transformation and how it changes your life and new environments and things and that. But one thing is what caused the move, right? The second thing is, are you running from your problems and thinking that moving to another city is going to change it? Because it's not. Or are you willing to say, all right, I moved, now I can work on me without distractions. And that's kind of where I've been in the last couple years of my life, is that I've been working on me without any distractions, any outside influencer, anybody who is going to make me feel like the work I'm doing is not good enough or up to their standards. So that's the truth. I moved to Atlanta because I was running from a relationship. I moved to Atlanta because I was super broken and in denial about a lot of things that were going on in my life. I moved to Atlanta because I felt like if I moved, I didn't have to deal with the things I was dealing with back home, but which was a complete lie, because I feel like they magnified themselves when I got to Atlanta. But what I will say, the calling of God telling me to move was the best decision, because I did not only become a better business owner, I did not only become a better person, I became healed. Right? And I think healing is a journey that I'm going to be on forever. But I told my best friend this morning, as I was trying to think about what I was going to record and things like that, I said, this month is the first time in a long time I feel at peace. I feel great. I wake up with a smile on my face. I'm not stressed. I'm even when things are not working out, they're working out, right? And I believe that if you're thinking about moving, ask yourself these critical questions. What am I running from? What am I going to do when I get to my next destination? And am I going to be real with myself in the process when I get there? Because for me, the first 6 months, I was in complete denial. I was like, oh, I'm in Atlanta. I'm about to be lit. I'm going out. Da, da, da. And God said, girl, sit down. That's not what I sent you here for. I sent you here to get better. I sent you here to become whole. I sent you here to seek me. I sent you here to become better. And you're doing everything but that. You're distracting yourself. And eventually he just said, you know what? I'm going to make all the business things fail. I'm gonna make you achieve financial goals you ain't never achieved before, but you're going to feel empty. I'm going to make sure that you understand the assignment. And until you fix that, ain't nothing going to work. And that's kind of what I was experiencing the first couple months to a year when I got here. But when the turnaround happened and when I really got the message and I heard loud and clear, this is, money cannot buy how I feel now. There's no amount of money that can make me feel this type of gratitude, this type of gratefulness. I'm just happy to be here. And when I look in the mirror, I'm like, I am grateful that I am still showing up everywhere I go, because I am a whole different person that dropped here in 2021. So yeah, that's how I moved to Atlanta. That's why I moved to Atlanta. That's the truth. And it's so fulfilling to tell, because I ain't ashamed of it. Your girl was going through a relationship that no longer served her, and she had to get out of it. And the only way that I saw fit was to move my entire life to a place that was going to make me better, and I just didn't know it yet. So that's some transparency for that ass. It's your girl K6 with your credit, and I'll see you guys on another episode. Love you guys.